Guys, so 80923, not a big difference in the month of June, but I do think it's still worth listening to, especially for some of you buyers out there. You might be interested in what's going on. A lot of you love that 80923 area, so keeping up with the market is a great thing. So hang on tight, and Trace will let you know what happened in the month of June.
If you are looking for information on buying, selling, managing, or renting a home, we'll show you all the tips, tactics, and secrets that will best ensure your success. So let's get started. Hi, everybody. My name is Trace. I'm with Ashford Realty Group here in Colorado Springs. And real quick, we're going to go over the real estate market and housing report for 80923 for the month of June 2021. Now, before we get into that, we just want to give a nod and a big heartfelt thank you to all of our veterans out there. Active and prior duty is including our local law enforcement and emergency responders. Thank you guys for everything that you do for people you don't even know to allow us to have freedom and feel safe and carry on, be able to celebrate our freedom with our friends and family and neighbors. So thank you guys for everything you do. Now, without further ado, guys, let's get into the report real quick so we can get you the numbers and that information. Now, if you currently own a home in 80923 or even Colorado Springs for that matter, this is going to be great information. You're going to love this information. Your home is probably going to be one of your best performing assets right now. And I would put that up against crypto, and I'd put that up against Wall Street at this point. So take a look at this information. Now, if you currently aspire to own a home here in 80923 or Colorado Springs, I would encourage you to continue to watch so you can see what kind of challenges you may be faced with and maybe some ideas on how you can overcome those. So real quick, we're going to run through the numbers here for June, I'm sorry. So median sales price. Now, this is going to be the average price of the home sold in June in 80923 only. This is going to be $465,000. Now, this is just a little bit higher than Colorado Springs' overall average. Colorado Springs' overall average for the month of June was $427,000. So 80923 is definitely outpacing by a margin, by a small margin over Colorado Springs itself. Now, the $460,500 for 80923, that is actually a 29.7% increase, nearly a 30% increase just from this month last year. So in 1 year, for the month of June, we saw nearly a 30% increase in median sales price, which average sales price, if you like. Now, what does that look like as far as a broader spectrum, a broader range? So let's just look at what kind of trends we can see for the last 12 months. And you can see right here, outside of a couple different months here, you can see that for the most part, it's been up. And what we're seeing is a steady climb, which is good. Not a whole lot of volatility, which I will tell you, when you start dialing into a zip code or a neighborhood or something like that, watch the bar charts and watch out for those, because you're going to want to watch the numbers. Because when you're dealing with 10 or 20 or 30 some odd homes, 3 would represent a pretty large spike. 3 units or 3 homes could represent a large spike depending on the equation or the numbers that you're using there in that bar chart. So I'd encourage you to look at the numbers and just the bars as a visual. So a 5-year trend. Let's get a little bit larger of or broader view here as far as the pricing and housing market here in 80923. And as you can see, and this is pretty much common from what we're seeing in every one of the zip codes that we're really tracking, as well as Colorado Springs, is you're seeing that 17 to 18 and June of 18 to 19 and 19 to 20, that margin of increase in that median sales price is pretty much within a certain gap. I mean, there's not a huge difference in these. We had a little bit of a little bit larger of an increase from 17 to 18, but you can see from June of 20 to June of 21, that's a substantial increase. That's over $100,000 in increase. That's a substantial increase. And again, that's going to represent that 30%. Or just shy of 30%. So inventory, this is the buzz about Colorado Springs. This has been our issue for some time, and it existed long before COVID did. Listings and inventory has been our issue. Just to be able to supply the demand coming in has been something that we have just not been able to catch on for as long as I can remember. This has been the case. This is good news for those that are looking to own, that this wave would continue and you get to ride that appreciation. Certainly great news for those that currently own, because you're just watching an asset perform extremely well. But let's take a look at it. Now, again, we're dialing into a zip code. We're not using as big of numbers as we would with Colorado Springs. So again, I'm going to warn you to watch those bar charts and everything, and I'll point out those numbers to you here as we go. But these are not inverted. We had 37 homes listed and we had 86 sold. Now, forgive me if you've heard this in previous reports, but in case this is the first report you're looking at homes sold versus listed. How can you have more homes sold than what was actually listed. Well, there's a couple different things. You can have a home that was actually listed in May and didn't sell, or the contract didn't close until June. And so that could skew the numbers. But now, granted, you're going to have that for most every month, outside of a little bit of a spike, maybe after COVID restrictions had lifted, or we get into the spring and summer months, people get a little bit more comfortable with the ability to, to secure a home after they sell theirs. And so they start listing more homes. But more than likely, what's happening here is we still have the build out of the zip code, meaning we have developments and subdivisions that are going in. And for production builders, most of them, not all of them, but most of them don't actually list the homes because they're coming. They're not even out there, and they're not even scratching dirt until they actually have a contract on the home. And this isn't, any tricks or malice or anything else. It's just the demand. They just have so much demand and they cannot keep up. Not enough trade work, can't get the supplies here quick enough. There's so many different things that factor into that. But they'll actually show the home sold, but it was just never listed. So that's going to skew that number some. So, all right, guys, let's take a broader view at the 12-month and just see what we're seeing. I mean, this is pretty typical for any subdivision or any zip code that's actually, new developments and everything else. You're just going to have so many new builds that are coming in there. They're going to outpace the existing market, especially when you get into those 80925 and 80939s, those different zip codes that are fairly new, for the most part, raw land, and then they start developing and everything. These numbers will always be upside down for the most part when you come into those situations. This isn't really anything surprising, but I will say because of this, and we're focusing on a zip code, is why you want to look at the Colorado Springs overall. So look at Colorado Springs overall. This is great, so you have that detailed information for your zip code, but you're going to want to refer back to the Colorado Springs report so they can give you a broader picture. This is going to encompass more existing homes versus new builds. This is going to give you a better idea as far as the trends. So we'll link or add that to the back of this video here so that you guys can compare that. And it'll be a quick little short video, and you can fast forward, rewind, whatever to get to the part that you want. So guys, 5 years, this is pretty typical. Again, this is this is the areas that are growing and booming and everything else. So you're seeing more homes sold than listed over the past 5 years. So June of 17 to June 21, you're looking at we've certainly sold more homes than have listed. Again, this is going to be pretty typical of a new build situation there. So guys, buyers or sellers market, I think you know the answer to this, but I'm going to go ahead and we're going to explain it. Forgive me, I'm just going to give me half a minute here to explain this in case those are watching this video for the first time. Month supply of inventory. How do we tell if it's a buyer's or seller's market? Well, we do that with the month supply of inventory. And this is for housing, obviously. And what we're looking for is anything less than 4 months is going to be a seller's market. 4 to 6 is going to be your balanced market. And then we're going to have a buyer's market when you go from 7 plus. We're at 0.43. So that's going to represent less than 2 weeks of inventory, which this most definitely is a seller's market in case you didn't know. So again, if you currently own a home and you're wanting to ride that equity wave, say you need to relocate, but you don't want to stop with the equity wave, we'd encourage you to look into property management, be it with us or somebody else. But get the details. It's not for everybody, but it's certainly for some. You can continue to ride this equity wave and have your investment looked over and continue to ride this up. So it's only going to end up with more in the end, and you'll be cash flowing each month until you get there. If you are looking to sell, what a great time. And this information should have been exciting to see. Just the increase just from even last year to this year has been extreme. So a lot of great information there as well. We'll put some tools and references and resources down below. We'll include an instant evaluation below as well. When you fill that out, we'll go ahead and follow up and send you a comprehensive one. The reason for that is that instant evaluations are not accurate. It's certainly better than the Zestimate that's out there. And most of the other real estate agent stuff is going to be better than that Zestimate out there. But even the instant evaluation for ours or other agent sites are going to be a little bit skewed because of the pace of our market. And because they're pulling public data in order to provide that instant report, with nobody looking at it, just a generated report, it's probably going to be 3 months old just from waiting for that data to hit the public record and then it being utilized. So I would say that just look for that comprehensive report if you want. We're not going to call or harass you. We're just going to send that report. And of course, if you have questions or you want to discuss that, or you have concerns or ideas about the information that you're looking at, just reach out. We're happy to help. So until then, guys, cheers. Hope to see you on the next one.